you searching for fulfillment? Discover true happiness. Stay tuned to Shalom World.
When we come as guests and are deeply, deeply present, we'll begin to sense this innate dignity within self and the other. When that happens, our heart will open in compassion. In this series of Encounter in the Marketplace, we've talked about coming as guests into the marketplace, how we come. We've talked about what we do, about being deeply present to those that we encounter. But what are we present to? Who do we encounter? We come to the innate dignity of the other. And I love that word. The word innate means of its essence, of its core, of its very self. You and I and all of life have a dignity, a worth to our essence, to our very being. We are born in the likeness, the image and likeness of our God. We are worth, we are love, we are lovable, we are gift. We simply just are. And that is such a beautiful, special thing. But sadly, so many people in the marketplace do not believe this. There is so much mental illness, people who are suffering, hurt and anger. Too many people are alone and lonely. Can we believe and know that we have worth just as we are? The marketplace shouts at us, have this and you will be happy. Do this and you will be happy. Have a great body and be fit and have lots of money and you will be happy. Have this, have that. So much of that is empty. The only thing that will fill the void within is love, meaning, purpose, a sense of identity of who we are. And too many people in the marketplace are lost, and you and I are missioned to invite them home to their hearts. All of this sounds easy, but it is far from easy. To truly know and value your own worth is a lifelong journey. Just to use my own story, all during my 20s and my 30s, so many students and parents and others that I worked with told me what a great teacher I was and what a wonderful person, but I just did not hear it. It's almost as if I had some sort of a filter, a sieve, and people would say wonderful things about me that hit the filter and I'd go, no. And for many years, I really did not value my own self. I couldn't see this innate dignity that I am talking about. I think so many people out there in the marketplace are just like that. But do they believe that they have an innate worth, an innate dignity, that they are the temple of God's Spirit, that they are alive with love within our world, that they are a sacrament, a sign of the presence of God alive within our world? So that journey to believe that. What I found in my own story was that there came to a point when I kept hearing all these wonderful things. There comes a point when you begin to make little choices to believe it, to accept it. So when you and I are in the marketplace and our guestness and our presence is saying to all the people that we encounter, you are beautiful. It doesn't just happen like that. It is a journey. We're there for the journey. And in God's time, they will hear it. So that journey for me took a long, long time. And thank the Lord, I was able to hear God whisper to me, Damien, you are beautiful. It took 1,000 small steps, the little choices in the marketplace to actually believe in yourself, to see yourself through God's eyes, how God sees us, to let God do the work within us, to let your heart do the work. I don't believe you can grow into this through your mind. It's got to be a heart journey. But then what will happen is one day it will sneak up upon you. And if you make the small choices over and over again, the day comes when all of a sudden you believe it. Sadly, too many people, when their gifts are taken away and they can't do what they would normally do, all of their worth has been put into what they do, what they have. And sometimes they can be lost when it's taken away. One of the great communities within our church, we have the L'Arche communities, and L'Arche communities are all over the world, and they're communities where severely physically and intellectually handicapped people are living in a community with so-called normal people. They are communities of acceptance and of love. And the beautiful thing about a L'Arche community is that the worth, the innate dignity of the particular person has got nothing to do with what they can do. It's who you are. It's your personhood. I come from a small town, and when I was a boy growing up, there was a boy 2 or 3 years younger than me, and this young man had cerebral palsy. Anyway, the time came when he went into his secondary school years. The boarding school was thinking we'll be able to provide the best atmosphere for this fine young man. The boys at the school, the staff, they just accepted him. There was this beautiful moment of acceptance of his worth, and he became a real character. Anyway, as he went on through his years at the school, he was in a kind of debating team, which was extraordinary, and he was a sporting coach, and the boys, some of the other older boys would pick him up and they'd carry him down to the very, very bottom field, and he'd have a football team there, and he'd have his walking sticks and he'd be coaching the team. The other students just loved him for who he was, not necessarily for what he did, although he did extraordinary things. That young man had a profound sense of his innate worth, just as people in the L'Arche communities do. What do people see in homes for the terminally ill, for those in a dementia ward? What are the nurses and the carers present to? What actually motivates them? It's the innate dignity of those that they minister to, those that they touch and bathe. It's their guestness, it's their presence. It's their committed relationship. It's being with these people in a way that says to them, you are beautiful. And their eyes that choose over and over again to see worth, to honor worth, to celebrate worth. And when that happens, a nursing home or dementia ward or a particular hospital comes alive. It's got an aura about it. There's something tangible. It's holy ground. We sense something special. And when things like that happen, those who are against life, those who say that the elderly or those who've got a mental illness have not got a worth, those sorts of places mock that voice because we sense, we know the beauty of every one of them, of every person we're called to walk with. The beautiful thing in this kind of work, it's not what we actually say. When you're bathing the elderly, when you're sitting with the infirm, when you're being with the dying person, when you're with the patient or with the person who's really angry or really hurting, it's our presence that speaks. It's our sense of their worth beyond the words. There's a credibility in that. Children are beautiful in things like this. It's almost as if they are a piggy bank. And in this piggy bank of self-esteem, when we surround them with love and with acceptance, it goes in and builds up. So when the day comes when they are fragile, there's worth within. They know within them that they are loved. So too with people who experience trauma and hurt and deep hurt. Often those particular people can struggle to see their own particular worth. We need to unblock that hurt, to heal that hurt. Our presence does this. Our presence binds away, chips away so they can see and know their innate worth. This is a journey. So this sense of journey, there's the poet Robert Frost, he says, 2 roads diverged in wood, and I took the one less travelled by. That made all the difference. This journey, 1,000 choices to believe in the gift within, that we are God's temple, to see ourselves through God's eyes. It's one step at a time, one moment at a time. And as so often with matters of the heart, ask God to take you where you cannot go. Your feeble feet, your feeble heart can't do this, cannot always see what God sees. Let God do the seeing through you, within you. And when we come as guests and are deeply present, we'll begin to sense this innate dignity within self and the other. When that happens, our heart will open in compassion. Guest and presence we have to work at every day of our lives, but compassion is the fruit. Jesus, especially in the Gospel of Luke, we see him go off on his own. He goes off into the mountains to a lonely place. He spends time by himself. It's this same Jesus that goes into the marketplace and he encounters pain. He encounters the other. So that beautiful encounter when the man says, if you want to, you can secure me. And from deep within Jesus comes those words, of course I want to. And the same Jesus reaches out and touches the leper. And the same Jesus allows the sinful woman to go wash his feet. The same Jesus cries at the tomb of Lazarus. So from guest and presence comes compassion. And the compassionate heart will stretch our arms wider, and our eyes will see more softly. And the compassionate heart will be less judgmental, and will journey into ears that hear cries we could not hear. Our eyes will see beauty where we could not see it. Compassion, to suffer with, to break bread with, to have empathy for. We label less. It's amazing when you're on this spiritual journey, this heart journey. This Jesus sneaks up on us, grows within us, and we don't think we're that kind of loving. But the more we invite him into our lives, that spirit, those eyes, that heart grows stronger. And when we work on that guest and presence, that heart slowly transforms. This Jesus transforms our heart to the kind of heart the marketplace needs. It needs so desperately. I had the honour of working with homeless people for many, many years. And one of the things I found was they had a beautiful heart. They saw what was really important. You'd get to the van side of a night time and there'd just be a warmth and acceptance, the sharing of story. There was a compassion there. And the homeless young men and women, the homeless guys didn't care whether I'd, who I was and all the different titles and maybe the different labels which I had. They just wanted to engage with me. The homeless taught me to see with love's eyes. I think I had a glimpse there of how God might see me. I think the homeless van transformed me. I came with labels that they would be old and smelly and they'd be rough and they would be violent. But their presence to me and their compassion to me changed me. I don't think the compassionate eyes and ears and heart just happens. We've got to work on it. That's where the actual Eucharist comes in. That's where prayer comes in. That's where silence comes in. That's where the Spirit alive within us comes in. And when we reflect on the encounters of the marketplace, when we reflect with our God living and active within us, our hearts grow. We can be so blocked, so blinkered, and it's the work of God within us that disturbs us. There is a wonderful priest in India. His name's Father Jerry Rosario. And I was once at a retreat that he ran, and he had given a talk, and at the end of the talk, he said, "Disturb us, O God. Disturb us, O God. Disturb us, O God." And he repeated that phrase over and over again. And I was sitting there, and after about 5 or 6 times, I actually got a little bit annoyed. I said, okay, I see the point, but he kept on saying it. And after about 15, 16 times, this sense of God's presence came over me. This God who wanted to disturb my heart so I didn't just see the marketplace, see the world as everyone else sees it, but to see it with God's eyes. And when we invite this God in our silent times to continue to disturb us, we become aware of our blocks, our prejudice, our labels, all these things, all the areas where God wants to work upon you, to soften our eyes, to stretch out our hands, to be compassion. That's where beautiful things happen. That's the compassion that the marketplace longs for. And when we have that, our presence will be profound, and we'll be able to sit with people, be with people in their pain, in their hurt, in all those places where they're struggling to see themselves as God sees them. And yes, the pain is still there, but from guest and presence, from compassion, you will bring a quality to the brain, to the pain, that brings hope, that brings life, that brings love.
A lot of talk in our church today about the new evangelization, and we might ask, well, what's new about the new evangelization? One thing that's new is that we're trying to renew the faith in people who should already be Catholic, should already be Christian. Individuals, families, communities, whole cultures that need to rediscover the gospel. And so what's new is that they're getting a new shot in the arm of faith, of evangelization. Another thing that's new about it is the way that we do that. And the new media and groups like Shalom World TV are very important for bringing the gospel anew to our cultures, to our families, to each of us individually. And so I encourage all the viewers of Shalom World TV, and I encourage Shalom World TV themselves to keep up the good work, to keep watching this channel and to keep up the good work of presenting the Catholic faith to our world today.